You post an ad, it works for a week, then it dies. So you drop the price, that works for a few days, then it dies too. Now you're stuck discounting just to keep the lights on. This exact offer used to barely cover ad spend. We didn't drop the price a single dollar. We changed how the offer was built. The same product, the same price, and converted more than double. By the end of this video, you're going to know exactly how to build an offer for your brand that doesn't need a discount to work. Now stick around because I'm gonna be handing you the exact diagnostic we run with every brand later in this video. Howdy. So if we haven't met yet, I'm Aaron. I run BitBranding with my business partner, Christian. We've helped grow over 300 clothing brands in the last 12 months. So this isn't a theory video. If you've ever watched a winning ad die and your first move was to knock 20% off of the price, I'm not calling you out. I've done that too, but that's reflex. But that reflex is the thing costing you money, not fixing it. Now here's the villain, the discount reflex. Discounting isn't a strategy, it's a leak, and every dollar off is gasoline on the fire of margin that's already super thin. And the real problem isn't the price, it's the offer. It's that the offer is only built for one type of customer, the one who already knows and loves you. Everybody else just scrolls right past it. So there's a guy named Eugene Schwartz who figured out decades ago in a book called Breakthrough Advertising, highly suggest that you read it. He said every single person who sees your ad is standing on one of 5 rungs of awareness. So just basically 5 levels of awareness. Now let's walk through what this actually looks like for a clothing brand, one rung at a time. All right, so this first rung, the one at the very bottom, is called unaware. Rung 1 is unaware. This customer doesn't know they have a problem yet. They're not even thinking about their wardrobe. They're just scrolling on the internet. If your ad opens with how great your stitching is, they scroll right past it. If you're answering a question they're not asking yet. Now at this rung, you don't sell, you entertain, or you reveal something they hadn't noticed yet. Something like why your white tees turn gray by month 2. You know, for example, for me, I used to work out in these white t-shirts and then they would all be dirty and whatever else, you know, when I was in high school, college. And so maybe you can relate to that, but they turned gray before they ever even realized that bothered them. Now, I'm gonna give you a couple of scenarios to kind of walk through here in this unaware stage. Now, there's a guy who's always just figured his blazers a little tight in the shoulders because that's normal, or a parent who's used to sizing being totally random between kids. And they just chalk it up to, that's how kids' clothes are. Now, I used to think that when I was buying for like nieces and nephews and whatever else before I had my own kids. Now, neither one of these is looking for your brand yet. You have to hand them that realization, okay? So this goes into, we'll just label this as like 1, okay? And then this is rung 2, or like level 2 anyway. This is problem aware. Now, they know something's wrong. My basics changed color after 2 washes, or I can never find a dress that doesn't need alterations. But they haven't gone looking for that brand yet. This is where you agitate, right? This is where you like dig into the actual problem, specifically not, do you struggle with fit? That's way too vague. I see that a lot. Please do not do that. It's not even a good hook anymore. That's literally nothing. It's, you know, the gap at the back of the waist on every wrap of the dress you've ever bought. That's not you. That's the pattern, right? So like if you talked about this, or if you're looking for like a boxy oversized t-shirt and you're like, do you hate like ones that are extremely lightweight? If you're looking for a boxy like streetwear shirt, you want something that's much heavier, feels like it's higher quality. The more specific the problem, the more it feels like you're reading their mind. And in this clothing space, if you've watched any of our pieces of content at all, right, it comes down to how well do you actually know your audience, right? Boutiques, right, they typically buy, if they're not selling their own products, they're gonna buy from other vendors and they're gonna buy packs. Well, if you have 1 or 2 packs, that means absolutely nothing to probably most streetwear brands, but a streetwear brand may be talking about, you know, the GSM or how heavy of weight that the shirt is. Again, the more specific that you can get, the better. Now, let's talk about someone who knows their leggings go see-through the second they squat, but they haven't typed anything into Google yet. That is a brand that I work with out of Jersey, and one of the things about her leggings that she loves is that they're quote-unquote squat-proof, and there's a little bit of this sweating issue or whatever else, so she isn't calling out those problems, but she's telling people like, look, you can squat and not have them completely see-through. This is also the same person who hasn't Googled anything yet, right? They just know. Or a guy who knows every button down he owns is either too tight in the arms or baggy everywhere else, but hasn't gone looking for the athletic fit as a category. Okay, so that's the problem aware. Rung 3, or like a level 3 anyway, is called solution aware. They know a category of solution exists. Better quality basics brands are out there, right? You have the true classics, but they don't know you yet, right? They've looked at, I think there's a brand called like Underdog or something like that. And it's like made out of a super high quality material, high frequency material, which unless you're truly understanding about this solution, you probably wouldn't be looking for them, but they kind of compete against the other brands who are like, we're just bamboo or we're just hemp or whatever else. Now, here's where you introduce that mechanism, not your brand name. Turns out the difference is fabric weight. Anything under 200 grams per square meter, right? So GSM is going to have some of that issues where it changes colors, right? And then eventually it's like that see-through that has a problem. You're teaching them what to look for. And you've probably seen some ads like this where people come across and they're like, grab a podcast mic and they're like, did you know? And it brings up like a doctor or something. He's talking about all these materials that are like polyester and that's a problem and whatever else. You're like teaching them at this point. That builds trust before you've even asked for the sale. You're like giving them from a third party perspective, not saying your brand is the solution. So someone who's learned merino wool doesn't hold odor, comparing a few travel clothing brands built around that fabric. That's another example. I saw an ad for a merino wool marathon runner. He was wearing this shirt talking about how this keeps him cool, odor resistant, and it's just like a great shirt for running. Honestly, I'd probably buy it just as a regular shirt. I don't typically, we live in Texas, so I don't typically run with a shirt anyway. But if I did, I would probably be wearing one of those. I mean, they look cool. You could also do someone's who's discovered extended sizing is a whole category, browsing a handful of brands. So they're shopping for that category, not you specifically, right? But not yet, but it's available to you. Okay. Moving to number 4, we go into what's called product aware. So now they know you. They're comparing you against 2 or 3 other brands that look almost identical in their feed. Like you've got to really differentiate hard. So real numbers, real proof, like 320 grams per cotton, right? Like, or 300 GSM, right? Double stitch seams, a fit guarantee, 4,000 5-star reviews. This is also where a founder story does more work than another product shot, because at this rung, right, at this level, they're asking why you and not them, right? Or why somebody else? So somebody with 3 tabs open, 3 denim brands, and millennials, I'm looking at you. You guys are very deep into the research phase, like have been since you've discovered the internet. Just for whatever reason, tons of research. It was funny. I saw something where it was like, that you're working with a millennial, and they're like, "Ooh, yep, that's a desktop buy. I can't buy this on my phone. I gotta go pull that up on my desktop to make a purchase." I was like, "Dang, I relate." But you're looking at like 3 denim brands, right? And that all look similar in price, similar photos, and just kind of comparing it. Or somebody retargeted you with a dress right next to nearly an identical one for a brand they already follow, and then you're deciding purely on proof. Now, level 5, right? This is the most aware. They already love you. They've bought before, or they've been following you for months. This is the only rung where a straightforward offer works. A restock alert, new drop, a bundle, this closes Friday. And I tell this to people all the time, kind of a side note. Everybody thinks a new drop is for new customers. New drops are for existing customers. They're for the most aware. That's why they get so confused. I gotta get a new drop out there to get new customers. Like that's the complete opposite. You're actually just going to put yourself in a very difficult situation. Hopefully that makes more sense now. But this is the one rung where a discount can actually work because they don't need convincing, they need a reason to act today, right? And I always tell people, think of a reason, like this is a moving sale, this is like a end of season sale, like give me a reason to buy. So the person who bought from you 6 months ago and just needs that restock alert on that exact style or a new color, or someone on your email list getting you get this before anyone else early access. That is why it is what we preach. You should not be sending your whole list in email. right? It's why you should be segmenting people who are actually engaged or have purchased before. Or like a cart abandoner, somebody who just needs one more like little nudge, right? That's why they do really well. Email is so powerful. Now, here's the mistake. Almost every clothing brand owner only runs ads for rung number 5, like level 5 awareness. That's why the ad dies so fast. You've mailed a sale ends today message to a cold audience that's never met you before. They scroll past that, right? They're scrolling through there, they look at your product and they're like, cool, never heard of you, don't need it, bye. The fix isn't 5 completely different products. It's knowing which rung, right, which level of awareness your traffic is actually standing on and speaking to that level specifically. If you're a new brand, you've got to talk to people at level 1. Now, it doesn't mean that you don't create ads at each of these other 5 levels or the other 4 levels. It just means that you've got to spend a little bit more time on level 1, level 2, level 3 versus going to 5. Now, here's the second piece. Layered on top of these rungs, on top of these awareness levels, a good offer does 2 things. It makes the result feel big and believable. It makes getting there feel fast and easy. That's it. That's the whole equation. A rung 2 offer needs to feel low risk and easy. A small first step with real proof attached. Now, a rung 4, a rung 5 offer can carry a bigger promise because the trust is already built. They already believe in your brand. You just need to give them something to nudge them over. Here's all 5 rungs mapped out side by side for a clothing brand. Cold traffic gets a low friction entry offer with proof front and center. Warm traffic gets the bigger promise, a bundle, a founder's collection, something with more weight to it. Same brand, 2 completely different offers aimed at 2 different people. Okay, so this is a brand that was honestly stuck for a very long period of time. And you can see a couple of things that have happened here. Discounts was only about $5,000 on $108,000 in total sales. So not that much of discounts over time. And you'll see a drop that happened, and we did make money here, but our offer was to that level 5 group of people, right? Building that email list that had taken time. I would say this took 6 to 8 months or so to actually build that list. And so then you have a $20,000 like mini drop. We also had a little bump here, and I think it was here, yeah, the July 10th for about $5,000. We would have done more, but again, this was just kind of an exclusive email that went out to the stage 5, level 5 awareness group of people. Now, all of these other like consistent days where you're looking at like $2,000, $3,000 days before these little kind of stage 5 awareness, were going after people who were completely unaware. The content is very relatable. It's very wide with the marketing approach. Now, to clarify here, it's wide for that audience, but it was so narrow in that scope of who we're going after. So let me clarify. You guys are clothing brand owners, right? And so I could be talking to you as like e-commerce in general and be like, yeah, I sell clothes online. I may do some brick and mortar, but I'm selling online and I want to grow online. I could talk general e-commerce about selling products, selling an iPad or, selling a watch or something online. I mean, I could talk broadly to that. Or I could get more niche and talk specifically to apparel brands. I could even go farther down that rabbit hole and just talk to boutiques or just talk to streetwear or just talk to somebody who's done cut and sew or private label. I could do that, but my point is at a high level, most clothing brands, right, are gonna run into the same type of problem. If I go to e-commerce, your cost of goods for a pin or I got a microphone here, like those are significantly different than apparel, right? The cost of goods for this particular shirt is like, I don't know, I think like 30% or something. So I have 70% margins on just the cost of good for this shirt, but then I got shipping and everything else. Whereas some people could ship out a book and it costs a little bit less. And so if you talk to somebody directly, specifically, and you can hit on that level 1 of awareness where it is going after people who are not even aware that you exist, you're going to reach more people. And that's what this brand did really well, building up for the next 6 to 7 to 8 months is who is my core audience? And if we look back at this as, let's just say, last 90 days, you'll see it here as well, right? You've got little peaks and valleys, sales consistently over time, right? This is just kind of nuance with ads. But then you have a drop, which is going after warmer audience, and then you got a drop, which is going after warmer audience. But for the majority of the content that we put out right here, it is predominantly going after people at kind of that stage 2 or stage 3 level of awareness, and it's done through organic content that we then push and put over into ads. It's done through user-generated content like partnership type of ads, and that is getting us in front of a lot of other people who may not be aware of us. When you are growing a brand, the most difficult thing to do is to scale, not because it costs, because of spending more money, because actually a product-based business, once you figure out these levels of awareness, you can scale it much faster. It's just people don't know how to create content at a level 1, 2, or 3. They only go after that warmest audience. And so that's why if you look at the last 90 days and you compare this to the previous year, we're up dramatically because our ads continue to go farther and farther down so we could hit a wider and wider audience, still going after our specific group of people, but at a wider group who may not have ever heard of us, right? And we didn't touch the price. We just rebuilt the way that we positioned ourselves. With the offer, it wasn't necessarily a discount as much as it was, hey, this is what you want to pay for, which is a high quality product, right? You are not going to have to buy a ton of these, so you're going to spend a little bit more, right? The average order value is $221, right? So it's not like it's a cheap product. We're talking about cost per use here. And that offer was extremely valuable for this audience. We rebuilt the offer around where the traffic was actually staying on in this ladder, right? Which is that stage 1, right? They're cold traffic, and then the rung 1, 2, level 1, 2, and 3 was seeing the exact same like shop 20% off ad as their warmest repeat, right? That's like, if you did that, that's an issue, right? So we split that cold traffic, got a simple, low risk, got a very simple approach to like this first offer that we're talking about, high quality product. And then the people who already had the social proof and are already the warmest, they got a little bit more to kind of nudge them over the edge because we know they're ready to do it. They just needed a little push to be convinced. Now, this ad stopped dying, right? Or these ads stopped dying. It's not just one particular ad, but these ads stopped dying, and every couple of weeks they didn't run into as many issues because for the first time, it was actually talking to the person who was looking at it. All right, so this is a newer brand. As you can see here, discounts about $1,800 for $16,000 in sales. This is a completely new brand. All of the content has been very focused on a wide market. We have done very little advertising. It's actually something new. Been running running ads on Meta for about, I think, 3 to 4 weeks, but it was almost dominated by the organic content. And now we had this founder start from literally zero. It's a brand new page, no followers, no past customers. They kind of blew up on TikTok and Instagram just being consistent. We have like inside of our program, we have like a 30-day kickstart challenge. So they took advantage of that. And guess what? If you are laser focused on who your audience is, you put out content consistently, the platforms like that, you will reach more people. But every view of those first ads in the organic content was cold, right? So literally level 1 awareness viewer. You can't skip to the product aware offer right at the very beginning. So the first few weeks weren't about selling at all. Almost entirely that rung 1, rung 2 content were short videos revealing specific frustrations. There was no offer attached. Really, it was just being real and relatable. And once that content had like a real watch time, right? We did introduce some level 3, some mechanism, still no hard offer, but by week 3 or 4, once there was a small retargeting pool of built up, right? Meta started to go after these people we've built up an audience. Then we started to introduce something that was a little bit more engaging to push people over the edge. Because if you go back, let's just look at here, I say 90 days, like 3 months, you can see very sporadic, but before April 14th, or kind of tax day, I think is April 14th, 15th, very sporadic here, okay? After that, it's just depending on how organic was taking. Now, our baseline, if you drew a line here, is continuing to go up and down just depending on what's going on. But before that, it was a flat line. There was nothing, just creating content. And I see this more as an encouragement for you, right? So in 90 days, $34,000 from somebody who's basically spending no money, selling hoodies in the summer, $75 average order value. I'm happy with that. Average order value has gone up, conversion rate has gone up, no returning customers yet. It's very low, but we're working on that just because we haven't had time to send emails. This is how a brand is actually built, but it's mostly built on the fact that they were creating content for people who were unaware of the product. If your you're a brand new founder with 0 list, don't panic that you don't have, right, that rung 5 audience, that level 5 awareness audience yet. You have to build it on purpose, like literally one rung at a time. The same framework, 2 different starting points. Now, some of you are thinking, oh, Aaron, I don't have time to build 5 different offers for 5 different rungs. You don't need 5. Most clothing brands really only have 2 or 3 traffic sources worth worrying about. And honestly, I would just think about them as like 1, right? Meta is where you should start. I'm just gonna say that in general, right? And you don't have to guess which rung your traffic is on either. Cold traffic that's never seen your brand is rung 1 through 3. And what's great about Meta is that if you know like how to speak to those audience members, like or the people in your audience, then Meta will do all the targeting, right? You just need to create the content. Anyone who's bought before, okay, that's a rung 5. That's all you need to know is that people on that list, the people on your email list who are rung 5 or people with really high engagement, there's gonna be a higher rung of people. But if you're just starting out, right, focus on this complete awareness stage. If you're trying to get to your first 100K a month, obviously your rung 5, your awareness level 5 is gonna be a little bit higher. And if you're trying to scale that, then you need to focus more on going back to the basics here of an awareness stage and putting a lot more time and effort into people who may not know who you are. My biggest piece of advice to you though is that if your ads continue to die, it is because you're trying to talk to people as if they are already your friend, as if they already know your brand. All right, so let's bring this back around. Remember at the start, I told you to give you the exact diagnostic. If you comment the word offer, I'll send you the full diagnostic. There's the 5 levels of awareness specific to a clothing brand. Everything that I have there is just kind of like all in one spot. So just comment offer and I will send that over to you. If you're a clothing brand owner who is stuck and would like to get you to 100K per month, all you need to do is there is a link in the description. There is a no cost strategy section. Whether you're just starting out or you're, like I said, you're trying to get your first 100K or $1 million month, we will walk you through which level awareness your content is at, how to make it better, and more importantly, give you a roadmap of what you need to do to actually grow online. There's a link in the description down below. Go check it out. And if you are new here to YouTube, I'll tell you, YouTube is very smart. It's going to tell you what video to go watch next to help you grow your business. Go watch one of these 2 videos right here. We'll see you next time.